Hello, good morning. Welcome to Joy News. That's coming up from our studios in Kokomlemle. Coming up this morning, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta justifies a controversial domestic debt exchange policy, adding it has proven useful in spite of earlier apprehension by bondholders. More as bondholders lace their boots to protest considerations for a second debt restructuring program.
The domestic debt exchange program was very difficult for us as a country, but I think, the need to do it is being proven. So you can see some stability, and we are grateful for that.
Also, National Food Suppliers Association spent Tuesday night at the premises of the National Buffer Stock Company to press home their demand for payment of arrears and foodstuff supplied.
Mosquitoes and the rest, people, because they have come from far, upper east, upper west, all the regions, they have come. And where are they going? They don't have money to rent hotels. So they have to spend the night here, and they are ready to spend.
Plus, one killed, 4 others sustained severe fractures following the collapse of a health center under construction in the Gassouth municipality. We have details plus business coming up shortly. My name is Ashi Ibrahim. To stay for details. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says the government's domestic debt exchange program has proven useful in spite of the concerns raised by some investors and bondholders. Speaking to Joy News' Foreign Affairs correspondent Blessed Soga on the sidelines of the American Independence Day celebration here in Accra, Ken Ofori-Atta said the earlier round of debt restructuring has yielded significant results. According to him, more sacrifices will be required in the coming days.
We have our own unique situation in terms of the economy. What do you see as the future? You know that Ghanaians have been asking that how is the future looking like for Ghana and Africa as a continent?
Yeah, I think first of all we need to acknowledge that this is just an unprecedented period in global affairs with regards to the economy and all the incidents that we have seen. But be that as it may, July 1st last year was a very different period than July 1st this year, and the media will recognize that it's been quite a dramatic change in where we are. During that period in which we did a double take to go to the fund, we got the SLA in record time, we got the fund approval in record time, we got 3 times our quota, which is unprecedented, 3 billion. We also were able to front load it so that we may get 1.2 billion this year, which is good. And then within 3 days of the approval also, it was disbursed for us. And then inflation has tapered down from 54 to where we are. I think the currency is a little bit more stable. Treasury bill rates have moved from 35 to maybe 20-something%. The domestic debt exchange program was very difficult for us as a country, but I think, the need to do it is being proven. So you can see some stability, and we are grateful for that. There's a lot of work ahead, and really we need to remain faithful as Ghanaians to push ahead. There's going to be some sacrifices, but I think it's the direction to go.
Meanwhile, a group calling itself the Coalition of Individual Bondholders Groups will, in the next 24 hours, join the pensioner group to protest suspected plans by government to undertake a second round of domestic debt restructuring in line with IMF conditionality. Dr. Edouana is convener of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, and he's joined us live with more. Grateful for your time. Doc, first, do you agree with the Finance Minister that DDEP has been useful?
Well, if you are unable to pay your debts, you have to restructure. So if you go into debt default, definitely you must do restructuring. So the restructuring was key because we have defaulted. So there's no two ways about that it was useful. Once you have defaulted, you must restructure.
Tell us about your intended protest in regards to suspected considerations for a second DDEP.
Well, we have no such intention to do anything of that sort. If there is any second DDEP coming, we pensioner bondholders are not part of it. Our exemption was unconditional. You recall that it's labor unions which had an agreement with government, MOU, to exempt the pension funds, and they agreed to work within government debt sustainability levels to come out with something that will help government and everybody, for that matter. So that is ongoing. So if there is anything going to happen, I believe it is that pension funds that the government is looking to see what form of restructure the pension fund managers or the trustees would accept. And as I always say, this can be done if they do the negotiations properly. Then that will be effective. Again, there are some bonds that were not restructured in the first DDEP, mainly the local dollar bonds, which I've read that government has agreed on some form of restructure with the banks. But it is not only the banks that are holding these bonds, the local dollar bonds. Individuals are also holding these local dollar bonds. And my expectation is that government should consult with these individuals. How they are going to do that, I don't know, but they can still find a way of speaking to the individual bondholders so that they can also agree to something that government wants to do, just as they have been able to get the banks to agree on something else. Then they have the cocoa bills also that government may restructure. And then the independent power proof.
Go ahead, Doc. Hello, Doc. Right, so that's Dr. Edouanani Entry. He's a convener for the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, and he's been explaining why how this whole debt exchange program has gone. That's on the back of the finance minister's assertion that the DDEP has been useful. Try and get him back to complete the statement he was making. But I've been joined also by Courage Buti. He is with Data Bank and he is an economic. Okay, he is with GCB Capital Limited. He's joined us. Courage, grateful for your time. Pardon me for butchering your office, but I hope you're doing well. Now, there are suspicions of a second DDEP. What are you picking? I know you do a lot of research in this area. Kindly unmute for me, Courage.
I'm actually unmuted.
Okay, sure. I can hear you now.
Can you hear me? Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, good morning to you, Aisha, and your listeners. The call, or maybe the proposal I was suggesting, is not a vacuum. You've seen experiences of other countries that have done debt restructuring that ultimately, if it's not deep enough, if it doesn't include enough debt, and then you are struggling to achieve that sustainability, ultimately they come back. You can talk of your Argentinas and the many others that preceded us, really. So that call may not be far-fetched. And the reality is that the 83 billion that we succeeded in exchanging was just about 20% of our total debt stock, really. And even if you look at it in terms of the total domestic debt, the target even was about 130 billion also. And that hasn't changed. We may have varied the target, but the initial target for DDEP was about 130 billion. We did just 83, really. So we are falling short. And in terms of, or in the context of total domestic debt, that is over 250 billion in total domestic debt. And 83 billion is just about a fraction of that total debt portfolio. So if we must achieve the 55% debt to GDP ratio by 2028 in present value terms, and then it would you would not be too far off to say that we need to do a bit more. Already, we've seen the government trying to come back to market. The 29 or so billion pension holding that was exempted, there's now the effort in place to try to get them into the envelope of DDEP. There is about 77 billion held by Bank of Ghana in non-marketable debt, which is also under consideration towards restructuring. There is some domestically issued dollar bonds that are being considered, cocoa bills. We haven't talked about T-bills altogether because it's exempted, and it still stands exempted, really. And you look at that plus some other pure loans the government may have taken from some banks and all of that, and you would say that there is still a lot of domestic debt even to look at or to consider. And so depending on how the external debt restructuring go, how deep it is, and what reliefs we succeed in getting from that side, it may even mean that we might have to look at it again. But at this point, it is the maze and then all of that, because we haven't even concluded the whole debt restructuring exercise, at least as we envisage it now. We are now in talks with the bilateral creditors. If we succeed with that, then we can extend similar terms or even better to the commercial creditors, that is the external ones. And only then can we ascertain how deep the restructuring is and if there may be a need to, even beyond these other second leg of DDEP we are seeing now, even beyond that, there may be a need to even include things like your T-bills or maybe other forms of domestic debt that are not included in the envelope at this point in time. Yeah. And so from those experiences, it's not a call that is out of place. But again, I think that it is too early to even make such assertions yet because, yes, the initial one may not be deep enough, but we are looking at the external side of things to see how that goes. If it's super successful, probably there might not be need, but all options are open at this point if we are committed to the 55% debt to GDP ratio by 2028.
All right, so Courage Botsi, he's a research lead at the GCB Capital Limited. He's been explaining. Dr. Edouanane is back. Doc, earlier you made the point about how you don't have any intention to protest, but I also want to find out, I mean, over the period, you said government has turned a deaf ear to all the pleas you've made. Tell me, has government settled all the issues with your forum?
I can say to some extent, largely.
Okay.
At the last time that we picked it, we got a payment. We thought government was going to pay for all the outstanding bonds up to the end of June, which included the 26th one. Unfortunately, we were disappointed. After the end of the day, we realized that the 26th one has not been paid. And then the last Monday, 3rd July, another coupon has been due, making 2. These are the things that we want government to avoid. Now it is 2. Next week it will be 3, and before we realize it's hitting 10. We don't want this to happen again. And government had assured us. I don't see why, after all this assurance, government will not be paid. Government has assured us that it has directed the Controller and Accountant General Department to prioritize the payment of coupons to pensioners. So we felt that with this directive to the Controller, no coupon will be delayed. But here we are. We now have 2. And we have decided we won't pick it this week. We will wait for next week. If next week another coupon is due and government is not coming out to pay, and it becomes 3, then we are likely to pick it next week to demand the 3 that has been in arrears. We don't want to wait until it hits the 7 and the 10th. Next week, it will be 3. And as soon as government is unable to pay the 2 outstanding now, and Monday comes and there's another one due on Monday, and it's not paid by Wednesday, then Thursday we will pick it.
Dr. Edwana Nienche, I'm grateful for your time. He's convener for the Pensioner Bondholders Forum. Earlier you heard Courage Buti. He's with the GCB Capital Limited. He talked about the fact that it's too early to make an assertion that the DDEP has been useful, and also to think of a second DDEP coming on. So all of these are issues we are monitoring. Definitely getting into next week, as Dr. Edwana states, we will fine-tune them and see which path we are choosing. Let's get to other issues. Members of the National Food Suppliers Association are demanding payment of over 270 million Ghana cedis owed them from food supply to senior high schools across the country from 2021 to 2023. The members who have been picketing the premises of the National Food Buffer Stock Company say they will not leave the premises until their monies are paid to them. More in the following report.
The group first served notice of their intention to picket the premises of the National Buffer Stock Company on the 13th of June over their unpaid monies. But interventions by the government with a promise of settling them stopped the group from doing so. However, members of the group Tuesday besieged the National Buffer Stock Company, bent on not leaving until their monies are paid them. Kwame Amedume is the spokesperson of the group.
Government is owing us money for the supplies we've done since 2021 till date, running into millions of cities, 270 million. We've done everything possible to get our monies paid to us, which has not yielded any positive results. We had intentions of picketing here on the 13th of last month. There were some interventions which we saw that it was necessary for us to call off the picketing with the hope that they were going to get us paid before today. Unfortunately, after those interventions were made, that stopped us from picketing here on the 13th of last month. We have not heard anything from the government. Nobody has called us to tell us where and how our money is going to get paid. The 2 weeks we were promised that our money was going to get ready. The 2 weeks is gone, and we've not heard anything from government. It's a serious issues that we are putting before government because most of our members rely on loans to do the supply. Most of these people that we see here, gathered here this morning, depend on some little credibility to do business. That credibility is dwindling. They can no longer continue with the supply because some have even used their properties as collateral to secure the money. That collateral is in the verge of being taken over by the credit. That's why we are picketing. We are not picketing only for today. We are going to be here till tomorrow next if our money is not paid. We want to be here, we want to live here.
The group is also demanding a review of the free SHS policy as they describe the current state of the implementation as a failure.
The continuance of the free SHS depends on we being able to supply on time. You see, the success of it doesn't depend on the student alone. The success of the policy of free SHS also depends on prompt payment to we, the suppliers. Because if they fail to pay us on time, how do we continue to supply? Those foodstuffs we supply, we take them on credit, on the promises that we're going to get paid in 60 days as per the contract stipulated in our signing, in our contract between the buffer stock and the various companies here put together as a National Food Suppliers Association. We are really struggling. 2 of our members are dead, Mr. and Mrs., as a result of the emotional trauma that this membership go through. Surprisingly, and the buffer stock and the Ministry of Education doesn't seem to be sensitive to our plight. So after 2 years, those monies are still locked up with government. What is the government doing? If for 2 years we have not been able to get our monies for the supplies we have done, it means the free SHS is not a success story. They have to tend to look at us. We are not here to frustrate the process of the implementation of the free SHS policy. What we are here to do is to ask for the supplies we have done for government. Pay us so we can continue to work with the program.
One of the members who spoke to Joy News said life has not been easy for her and her family.
They owe me millions of Ghana cedis. Millions of Ghana cedis. It's been terrible. Very terrible. Very terrible. I can't stay home. I can't go out. Always my phone is off. If my phone is not off, it's on silence. Because the costs are just too much. BP is killing me. BP is just too much for me. We don't know what we've done to buffer stock because the work is still going on. They are sending foods to school. Education is supplying. Buffer stock is supplying. But some of us, the OS, we can supply as well. The OS and we can supply. So we don't really know what they want from us.
The members who traveled from all regions of the country are prepared to stay at the premises until all monies are paid to them. The buffer stock is yet to comment on the demands of the association. Prince Kwame Kudege's report read to you.
Well, the Food Suppliers Association spent the night at the premises of the National Food Buffer Stock. Here's Patrick Ifa, his General Secretary of the group, sharing his experience.
You say every time the food is supplied, within 60 days, we will be paid.
Right, you slept here and you've not heard anything from the buffer stock people?
No, buffer stock, right? They don't even care. They don't care at all. No. Nothing.
How did you cope here, sleeping here?
Yes, mosquitoes and the rest. People, because they have come from far, upper east, upper west, all the regions, they have come. And where are they going? They don't have money to rent hotels. So they have to spend the night here, and they are ready to spend.
All right.
Yes. So until we are paid, that's why we continue to be here.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Let's take you live to where they're protesting, and we're joined by Kweku Amedonu for more. Kweku, tell us more about your night. How was your night at the buffer stock office, and what's the plan for today, especially as you've not heard from the buffer stock company? Hello, Kweku.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, I would like to say good morning to your viewers out there.
Kweku Amedonu is...
Yes.
Okay.
Night. Will not be there.
Kweku Amedonu, he is the spokesperson for the Food Suppliers Association, and he's been trying to paint a picture of how his members spent the night at the buffer stock office. We'll try and get him back on the line to tell us more, and also their plan for today. How long do they intend to do this? And also to find out if they've heard or they've had any word from the buffer stock company. I must say, before this bulletin, we tried reaching out to Mr. Abdul Hanan, who is in charge of the buffer stock company. We've not been successful with that, or try and get them to respond to some of the questions on our minds. But Kweku Amedonu is the spokesperson for this group. When he joins us, he will tell us more as to what engagements they've also had with government. I remember sometime last week, he told us that government was trying to resolve the issue. I mean, how did they end that conversation and how did we get here? When he comes on, he will tell us all about that. Now to other stories. One person has died and 4 others have sustained severe fractures after a health center under construction collapsed on them. Eyewitness account says a woman and her 2 children and some other individuals were standing under the building when it suddenly came crumbling down on them at Assemblies, a suburb of Gassouth municipality in Accra. The personnel from the Municipal Fire Command in Kasua came to rescue the trapped victims under the rubble. We can now speak to an Adom News reporter, Kofi Eji, who's been monitoring this. All right, so before we speak with Kofi Eji, let's listen to this.
We were able to rescue all of them. Initially, we rescued 4. We have been sent to hospital. Finally, we had to seek the help of an excavator to be able to clear the debris, to be able to rescue the final person, who is an elderly woman. She has been sent to the hospital, but at this moment, looking at her, we can't confirm whether she's alive or not, but she's in a critical condition. We pray that she makes it. So probably the doctors at the hospital will be able to tell us her situation in due course. Okay.
What do you think might be the cause of this preliminary?
At this moment, we cannot pinpoint exactly what would have brought this, but in recent times, I think it has been raining. If you look at the nature of the soil that we stand on, even you could see that the place looks a bit like a muddy area, water area. So, but we cannot pinpoint and say that that would have been the cause, that the ground maybe is not good. That is why the building might have caved in or not. Until further investigation is done to be able to tell, we cannot confirm what exactly would have caused this.
Is it a case where they use inferior materials? Because I've gone closer to the materials, realize that the blocks themselves are not strong.
They may look like that. All of us can see it. So you use your hand to tap the blocks and they are like scattering all over. But that also cannot be a justification to pinpoint that the inferior materials have been used. Like the way I said, we have to do further investigation and probing to confirm whether really who is even constructing the building.
We can now hear from Adom News reporter Kofi Eji. Kofi, has there been any update from the health facilities on the 4 battling for their lives?
One person has also passed on. Another nurse, including the owner of the facilities, has also passed on. He passed on around 10:30 yesterday night at Kasua Polyclinic. And as I'm speaking to you now, the remaining 3 has been referred to Limba Trauma and Specialist Hospital because Kasua Polyclinic doesn't have the requisite equipment to take good care of them, so they have referred them to Limba Trauma and Specialist Hospital. So as I'm speaking to you now, 2 people have died.
Kofi?
Asha.
So, have we been able to ascertain the cause of this collapse?
So as what the fire service commander was saying, you can see that the area is not good for such building because it's a very, very muddy place, and you can see that the mason or the owner of the facility couldn't use maybe proper materials, building materials that caused the collapse of the building, because you can see that the concrete is not strong and the blocks are also not strong. That caused the collapse of the building.
Has there been any confirmation from authorities?
They are now investigating to the matter. Yesterday, NADMO was there and fire service was there. And the Central Regional Police Command were also there. They have started investigating, but primary investigation is that the area, the land is not good for such building. And secondly, they couldn't use proper building materials.
All right, Kofi J is a Dome News reporter who is covering this for us. We'll bring you more on that when we get confirmation from the authorities who are currently conducting investigations into the matter. Let's go back to our earlier story where food suppliers have been spending the night at the buffer stock office in Accra. Their spokesperson, Kweku Amedonu, has joined us now. Kweku, you were telling me about how you spent the night in that office and what your plan is for today.
Yes, my name is Koku Amaduma, not Amadonu.
Okay, thanks for the correction, sir.
Amadou, yes. Yes, the night was terrible. We were at the mercy of the unfavorable weather conditions. We had to battle with mosquitoes. And the insecurity nature of the environment was an open place. But we are determined to get the bottom and get the results from our actions. So we are not prepared at all. Knowing that our houses are more tormenting than the mosquitoes we have to battle with here. So we are okay. We've made the point that we are not living here until we have our money settled. So we'll be here.
So what's your plan for today, especially as you've not heard anything from the buffer stock company?
Our plan is to be here. Our plan is to be here.
How long do you intend to do this?
As long as we've not received our money.
But I remember the last time you were on my show, you told me that you were having engagements with government. I mean, how did we get here?
Yes, they have failed. They have never worked with anything they promised. They promised one thing, and it ends up being that they didn't mean to say what they said. So they have always been disappointing. So we are not surprised. So we want to be here. Anyone who thinks that what we are doing is not effective, that person must really examine his opinion, because I did not do with left here. I did not do with gathered here. We will not have the platform we are offering us now to air our views. Perhaps all our efforts to get our money paid has not gotten the ears of the success. But having had the opportunity to speak here, I know people closer to the power that might drop something into his ears. The national security might present a report or daily report. My report our activity, something will be done about it. To ask whether they come to attend to us, ask whether Papa Stock attend to us or not, we are not looking for any meeting. We are not looking for any meeting. All we want is our money to be paid to us.
Your call has been put on hold. Please wait.
Kweku Amedonu, he's spokesperson for the National Food Suppliers Association. He says they are going to be staying there until their monies are paid them. Let's move on to other stories. Stakeholders in Ghana's energy sector are calling on government for a policy to safeguard Ghana's gas reserves to guide Ghana's course towards energy transition. According to actors in the sector, not having a guiding document as the country marches towards reducing greenhouse emissions in the country will not bode well for the country. They are also calling for the training of indigenous people to take advantage of the opportunities in the sector. There's more in this report.
Contributing to a roundtable discussion on embracing new gas market in the energy transition discourse, the role of stakeholders organized by the Ghana National Gas Company, the Chief Executive Officer of African Energy Consortium Limited, Kwame Jantia, said the country needs a national policy to guide our effort towards energy transition.
We're talking energy transition. Where is the policy, the law, the regulation to do with gas? What are we doing where gas is concerning the law? Yes, I know we have the gas master plan, But that gas master plan, is that what we're going to take the policy out of? Is that what we're going to take the law out of? What is going to regulate this transition fuel that we talk about? I think that is key if we're going to go forward and be able to handle gas as a transition fuel.
Ben Boache of ASEP said there is need for the country to look at developing the intellectual capacity needed for the sector.
I mean, it's so bizarre that in Ghana, you don't have funds for the young ones who can now sleep in the lab to generate ideas. They get the degrees and they are straight to the bank, even though they did chemistry, they did physics. But we are not sponsoring these guys to now think, to really generate the ideas that can also contribute to the energy transition and the renewable market.
Dr. Ben Asante, CEO of Ghana Gas, agreed with him.
We need to make sure that our academic curricula are in sync with what our industrial needs are. So we will have people who would do the design of a gas plant, help with the construction, all here, and with the operations. If we have to bring people from wherever to come and do this, why can't we acquire that intellectual capital ourselves and do it ourselves? There's no magic about that. All right? So Ghana Gas, yes, we decided to do operations and some maintenance ourselves.
These roundtable discussions by the Ghana National Gas Company are expected to take place twice every year to solicit ideas to help the country's effort in developing its energy sector and in its transitioning effort. For Joy News, I am Samuel Kojo-Brace.
A year after construction of the Sewa Regional Hospital in the Ashanti region, residents remain uncertain about the facility when it will be put to use. Joy News checks reveal poor access roads to the hospital and the installation of a power source have been cited as reasons for the delay in putting the hospital into operation, though the Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Anthony Nsiah-Sarri, has assured the road has been awarded on contracts. Nana Ojima has more.
The 250-bed capacity Sewa Hospital is one of 8 hospital projects costing $339 million constructed by Eurojet Invest. By capacity, it is the third biggest health facility in the region and expected to ease pressure on the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital when fully operational. The Afari Military Hospital, with a 500-bed capacity, will be second largest facility when completed. Physical works on Sewa Hospital have been completed, awaiting provision of power supply and improved access road network. Health Minister Kweku Ajiman Menu, during a visit to the facility, noted the challenges with power and road have delayed the opening of the facility.
We are waiting for a few things. We call them client obligations. The client should bring road to access the facility. The inside the hospital road is part of the contract. But from Sewa town or from the major road to this place is supposed to be done by government. Here is virtually completed. All the equipments are in place. They are not bringing any new thing. They're only waiting for constant, continuous power such that we can run the machines after commissioning testing.
Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Anthony Nsiah-Sarri, speaking on the probe on Joy News, indicated the power supply has been installed, with some work being done on the roads.
Another thing that we need to do in Sewa is a road network to the hospital. So it becomes easy for patients to be carried to the hospital and also come out from the hospital. That one is also being given, the contract has been given out, is being done. So Sewa is practically completed.
Love FM's visit to the hospital using the Prabon Sewa route indicates the road is in a poor shape, dusty and bumpy. Motorists have to navigate their way through the gaping potholes with tact. The widening potholes pose danger to road users.
About 4 years, For about 4 years now, the road has remained poor. They usually come to grade the road and leave it. The road to the hospital is worse.
They say a quarter way for your friends say. Bears and a woman, I have my bears and bo. Bears nabo office, I'm an overload now. A baby was so saying a surprise no woman who cry. I am.
It has been over 4 years since drains and bridges were constructed on the stretch, but residents have had their hopes of a tarred road dashed for years. A bridge well constructed in the middle of the road is not utilized fully as one end of the construction is left uncompleted. A gaping hole was opened for the construction of this bridge, but after the work was done, the contractor refused to cover the hole that is left here. Now, even though the bridge is done, only a portion of the bridge can be used by drivers here.
Ebi lighting it, drone a problem park is pan, ebi lighting it. Inti bi honman who say, ebi an we neighbor.
2 weeks ago, an accident nearly happened at the spot. The drivers didn't notice each other. If the bridge was fully done, this wouldn't happen.
Sana a friend say, probably cabin sober. Taquano so or who to who ya high and a friend say. Even Baba couldn't cry tree. No, it's not say Okoni say into tree. Aquano natures I mistake.
A drive to the Sewa Hospital is not a pleasant one. A decision to use the Feyasi route to exit the area was no different. Though the route is shorter, there is no sign of road construction. George Ejay, who is station master at the local taxi rank, says contractors packed out of the site months ago.
Hospital. The contractor milled the entire stretch, so we're waiting for the construction of the road itself. The drains were all done. Later, we noticed the contractor had taken away all equipment from site.
It remains unclear when Sewa Government Hospital will be opened to the public to help improve access to healthcare in the Ashanti region. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
We're still live on Joy News Desk. We're coming to you from our studios in Kokomlimli. When we return from this break, this business from Darryl Kwao.
Hi, welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Now, African countries have been urged to reduce the size of their governments in order to have consistency in developing their economies. According to founder and president of the African Center for Economic Transformation, Dr. K.Y. Amwako, African leaders have failed in the past to inspire long-term vision and growth, thus contributing to underdevelopment. He was speaking at a United Nations development program in Accra. Here's more.
Partnership between the private sector and the government, where the government does the basic things like macroeconomic stability, help with infrastructure, dialogues with the private sector along this long-term vision. That's critical. And then also, you need to have consistency when it comes to institutions. The institutions that have to provide. So in Ghana, for example, that one I said, when you have 120 ministries, how can you have consistency and coordination? It goes against the basic tenets, so it's a fact. And my final message is about leadership. It's leadership that to drive all these things. And there's a book by Robert Rodbeck, I forget his name, which was Transformative Leadership. And he states leadership all around the world, in Africa, in Asia, Korea, all those stories. And he comes to the conclusion that leadership matters everywhere, but it matters more in developing countries.
West Africa's leading automotive industry player, Rana Motors, has launched an all-new Kia Carens into the Ghanaian market. The Kia Carens, which is a 7-seater vehicle, is purposely designed to afford families the opportunity to experience comfortability and relaxation when embarking on adventures. It comes with many features such as high-tech spec, space, safety, and convenience. Here's more from the launch in Accra.
Designed with bold attitude and space-age sophistication to offer experiences from a different world, the Kia Carens is futuristic with many class-leading features that commands instant attention. Carens has a bigger exterior dimensions. It has a 2,780 millimeters long wheelbase, which makes the car more stable at high speeds and gives better legroom in the back seat. Kia Carens offers a class-leading space with plush 3-row seating comfort with a 7-seater capacity. Kasem Odemat is the Chief Operating Officer of Rana Motors.
It's filled with the convenience features. Also, when it comes to the safety features, you have a lot of safety features in the vehicle also, which makes a lot of sense since it's a family car. Of course, you have the airbags, you have the ISOFIX child lock that you can use for the child seats in the second row. You have downhill brake control, you have hill start assist control, you have vehicle stability management, you have electronic stability control, manual speed limit assist, ABS anti-lock brake system, parking assist, and a rear view camera for parking assist as well.
He says the new vehicle is cost efficient, durable and affordable to compete on the Ghanaian market.
We have high expectations. We believe that this model will do well. And we are actually trying as much as possible that within the next 2 or 3 days, our vehicles will be also open for the public in all our showrooms, in the 5 showrooms we have across the country, from Accra to Spintex, Tema, Kumasi, and Takoradi. Also, for the other regions, we are also looking at how we can display them in public areas, where also we can showcase it to all the public to be able to also have a look at it and see and have a feel of the vehicle. We believe it will do. It's a good model. It will do well, but time will tell.
Meanwhile, some families who graced the launch expressed excitement about the all-new Kia Carens and how beneficial it will be to them.
It's the type I've been looking for because of the current cost of fuel, and this has the 1.5 liter, which will be economical for the family. So really, I'll prefer this model.
It's very spacious. When we sat in it, there were a lot of space. We are about 7 people in the vehicle, but there was a lot of space in it. And the seats too are so comfortable. The kids have space, they can play around in the car.
So, the next time you hit the road, you don't have to leave anyone or anything behind, as Kia Carens has proven to be the safest car in its class.
All right, that's it for business. The news continues after the break.
Welcome back to Joy News. Next to the rest of our stories, this year's EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair will include astute lawyers with experience in land issues. It will provide legal assistance on all aspects of housing with a concentration on litigation. It is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the interesting packages put together, especially for patrons this year on the topic home ownership, affordability, comfort, or luxury. Join the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair team this weekend at the Achimota Mall for the clinic, which kicks off a series of smaller activities running up to the major exhibition later in August. Here's Max Fuga.
We instituted the clinics to afford people a conducive environment to transact business. But the clinics is a small one. Normally we have about 10, 15 exhibitors, And we provide that congenial and that conducive environment for business transactions. You have needs. You want to talk to your clients, you want to talk to prospective service providers one-on-one. Now, at the main fair, it's always crowded. But at these clinics, you have that opportunity to engage the supplier on with all your questions, with your challenges, and get them answered in real time. So that's the objective of the clinic. And so this year, we are showcasing both current and future trends in housing. So architecture, building, materials, landscaping, home appliances, everything lighting, everything housing. We know land acquisition is a big issue in this country. Okay. I've had to be reporting at the police headquarters once a while because of land issues. Just buy a small piece of land to put up a building to lay your head. Today is police headquarters here, tomorrow is CID headquarters, today is property office, tomorrow is anti-armed robbery office, all because of land issues. So one of the things that we have decided to do this year is to put together a team of seasoned lawyers who have specialities or who have specialized in land cases, okay, to be there to help people with all those issues, to give them guidance, to give them direction. So the biggest thing we are introducing this year is to put the experts together to provide solution to people with needs.
Two-time finalists of the Love FM High Schools debate, Prempeh College have secured a slot at the semi-final stage of the competition. An ambitious, combative and a cutthroat argument on the motion, the retirement age for civil servants, should it be moved to 70 years? The Amanfo of Prempeh College eliminated the Rama of Kumasi Wesley girls. Nana Boache Yadom has more. We'll bring you more on this in our subsequent bulletins. That's how we wrap up News Desk this morning. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. See you again at 12.